Welcome to the Two-Ton Nerds. As always, my name is Max James. Today is October 17th, 2014, and the movie of the day is, it's a bunch of days because I've been having some technical difficulties with YouTube, uploading videos, just internet problems basically. So today's video will cover day 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th. Of the 31 Days of Fright horror movie project. Year 3, and the first movie up is the remake of Friday the 13th. I love this movie. I really did. I thought this movie was great. I was kind of skeptical. I kind of was up there when I heard the remake of Evil Dead. It's like, how can you do this? But then it proved me wrong. So there is some good horror remakes. There really is. You got Dawn of the Dead and Evil Dead, and you got this one. And I'm not counting the new Nightmare on Elm Street, even though it was good. It just didn't feel like Nightmare on Elm Street. This one felt like Jason, and Halloween felt like Halloween. So it was just like, there is good horror remakes, and this is one of them, I honestly think, because this is the best way to describe this movie is it's the greatest hits of Jason, because if you know your Jason movies, you will automatically see everything from the Jason movies. He starts out with wearing his burlap sack mask, then he progresses to the hockey mask, and some of the set locations will be like, oh, that's from what's it called, 4 or whatever movie or stuff. Nightmare Before Christmas. Friday the 13th, Part 4. So it's just, you'll recognize a little bit of everything. And all the actors are, they're just cannon fodder in this movie. Well, there's a few stars in this movie. You got Jared Padalecki as the main star, as from Supernatural. Then you also got Danielle Panabaker, who also has appeared in one other movie this year, in The Ward. And so it's just good. The kills are, the only problem with this movie is I wish there were more innovation in the kills. And that's what I kind of wish, because if you watch the other Jason movies, there are some really nice, funny kills in the movie. But this one was just like strictly just machete or bow and arrow or stuff like that. But it was still really good. But I just wanted a little bit more innovation or more creative kills. But overall, very good remake. Now, the next one is Hatchet. The Hatchet trilogy, 1, 2, and 3. And I really love this trilogy because it's old school horror in the modern age. And I know there's a bunch of modern horror or old school horrors today, but I think this one is my favorite because it has good acting, pretty decent plot, because each movie ends, and then the sequel picks up right where it left off, and then the third movie picks up right where the sequel left off. So it's just like, it takes place over like a matter of like a couple of days or 3 days or something like that. And it's really great because each movie has horror icons. The first one has Robert Englund and Tony Todd, who is Freddy Krueger and Candyman, and the main guy is Kane Hodder, who is the definitive Jason, and so Jason Voorhees. And then you got some really good actors in this movie. You had Joel David Moore, who's also in who's on the show Bones, and also in the movie Avatar. And Danielle Harris, you may recognize her from the new Halloween, as well as one of the smaller kids from the original Halloween. So it's like, these movies have a little bit of everybody. And then the sequel has who's in the sequel? Tony Todd revises his character, and then Lloyd Kaufman, from Troma, he makes a cameo in this movie. And then the third one, you got Sid Haig, and you got from Devil's Rejects, and then you got in House of a Thousand Corpses. Then you got one of the main girls is from Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Leprechaun, one of the Leprechaun movies. And then you got Billy from gremlins. So there's some great horror icons in this movie. But the plot of the movie follows this girl's dad goes hunting out where he should, or fishing for gators or whatever, where he shouldn't have been. He gets killed. So he goes out there, and so his daughter goes and tries to find him, and unsuccessfully, and they end up getting attacked by the monster in the swamp, basically. Victor Crowley, he's this deformed, mentally challenged kid who was accidentally killed by his father after a bunch of kids were kind of messing with him and set the cabin on fire. And his dad killed him while trying to break down the door with a hatchet. And that's basically the story, but each part of the movies add a little bit more to the story itself. So you barely learn anything in the first movie. In the second movie, you learn a little bit more. Then the third movie, you learn all you need to know, and it's a nice ending to all of it. And builds up to a great final confrontation, and there's some great gore. It's old school horror, all done practically for the most part, and there's some really good humor in these movies. So all in all these movies are really done really well, acted well, done practical effects, good music. Marilyn Manson does one of the songs for the first movie, and it works really well. And this movie, they both take place in swamps or in the woods, so it's like Louisiana for the Hatchet movies, and out in the middle of Crystal Lake for obviously for Jason. So it's just good old school horror movies, and that's what I really liked about these 4 movies. So that's really I'm gonna find. So it's time to do my classification scale. 1 being run-of-the-mill horror, 2 best watch with a group, 3 more than average horror but does not add nothing to the horror genre, 4 helps move the horror genre forward, and 5 being a horror classic. Now, I'm going to combine all the Hatchet movies as one movie, because you can technically watch them as one movie. And they're all horror classics in my mind. And then the new remake of the horror of Friday the 13th is a 4. I think it helps move the horror genre forward because it proves that you can take an established horror character, and make a good movie out of it. And it does, even though there isn't as many creative kills as I liked from the previous movies, but it is a 4. It does help move the horror genre forward because it can be done. It can make a good horror movie still using practical effects and stuff like that. So, and even minimal CGI. So that's really all I gotta say. I recommend every single one of these movies. Even though I also recommend watching Hatchet with a group because it's a very fun movie to watch. Even Friday the 13th remake, it's definitely worth watching with a group as well. So, but they're all 4 and 5s. Hatchet trilogy, horror classics, and then more than average horror. Helps move the horror genre forward with Friday the 13th. So that's all I gotta say. My name is Max James, and I'm going to go geek out.